shifting it backwards, and now somewhere 7,000 or 8,000 before Christ is the date for the Indus Valley civilization, which makes, of course, the coming of Aryans, etc., all these problems even more problematic, whether they came later or whether they were contemporaneous to those Indus Valley people. He has also made excavations of Ramayana site in Shringavirpur. I met him when he was excavating in Bharadwaj Ashram in Allahabad. This was a project of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies of Shimla, which was carried out under Professor B.B. Lal, one of the most famous archaeologists of India. So, about Neeru Mishra, I also want to speak a few words. She is a master's and doctorate in history from Allahabad University and also a fellow of Royal Asiatic Society. And Dr. Mishra is a familiar name in the field of art and cultural heritage. Presently, she is a visiting professor on intangible cultural heritage to the Manipur Culture University, Imphal. She has been the director of Indian Council for Cultural Relations, Ministry of External Affairs for many years and has headed the Department of Museology on Maulana Azad Chair at National Museum Institute. She has been the recipient of a prestigious senior fellowship under National Tagore Fellowship Scheme of the Ministry of Culture and has also been granted a South Asia Award at the Cultural Heritage Institute sponsored by US government for training at Smithsonian Museum institutions, Washington DC and Wisconsin universities. She also won Women's Leadership Program Fellowship to Bangkok. Professor Mishra was especially invited to chair a session at First World Culture Forum Bali. She was National Coordinator, United Nations Development Program, where she was involved with the advocacy of cultural heritage programs at national and international levels. She has 9 books to her credit containing original researches based on manuscripts, including Krishna in Indian Art, Splendors of Rajasthan Paintings, and her monograph on Humayun's tomb is widely acclaimed in the community of art historians. She has contributed to the catalogues of several exhibitions and has curated a large number of exhibitions and cultural events. Further, she has made significant contributions to the establishment of the textile museums at Siem Reap, Cambodia. Professor Mishra has traveled extensively to World Heritage sites, important museums and art galleries worldwide, and has delivered a number of academic lectures at prestigious academic institutions in India and abroad. She is a member of the Finance Committee of the Manipur Cultural University of Imphal and also a member of the Jury for Folk and Tribal Art with Ojas Art Gallery, Delhi. And last but not the least, she is well versed in Sanskrit and French as well. So this would be, as I told you, this would be our 4th lecture. This first lecture was delivered by Professor Jitendra Bhai Shah of Ahmedabad, the second by Saryu Doshi of Bombay, the third by Anupa Pandey of National Museum Institute here in Delhi, and this is now going to be the 4th lecture on especially on Jain sculptures of Deogarh Temple Complex. Deogarh Temple Complex is very important because this is in North India, at least temple complex in general is the oldest temple, you can say temple complex that we have at present. It goes back to Gupta period, 3rd, 4th, 5th century. That's the time when it was created. And there are, of course, even older temples in India, but they were destroyed by Muslim invasions, especially by Muhammad Ghori in 10th century. And there was, for example, a temple for Keshav Dev in Mathura, which was perhaps originally built in 3rd century BC. In 1st century, we have got an inscription by Shodash, who is a satrap from northwest. And perhaps they'll show you, he will show perhaps shed some more light on the beginning of the temples, but at least 5th century BC, we could say safely, we started building temples, because this Vasudeva temple in Vidisha, before which this Kham Baba, this is Stambha, Vidisha is Stambha of Heliodorus Stens. This belongs to 2nd century BC. This was erected by Heliodorus, a Greek ambassador from northwest. So Mahabharata mentions many temples. Our Griha Sutras, which is Griha Sutras, they were written somewhere 6th century BC to about 1st century BC. They also mention about temples, etc. That's the time when temples start getting constructed in India. And so this is one of the oldest temple complex and one of the oldest perhaps Jain temple complex as well. You all get to hear much more. I am not an expert on Jain art, and neither on art nor on Jain art at all. I request Neeru Mishra ji to kindly take her seat and enlighten us on this theme.
In the beginning itself, I am not an expert on the Jain art or architecture, but I am a pure archaeologist and excavator. But in the excavation, if you don't understand the material culture, the socio-religious systems, you cannot interpret your material. In that way, most of the archaeologists in the country, they are aware of so many other religions present in the country right from the beginning. So, before anything can be said, I request Dr. Neeru Mishra to please give her talk for the benefit of we all.
Thank you, sir. I use the podium. Before I start my talk, may I request IIC, somebody from Vinodji or Rahulji, please provide some more chairs. Guest, Namaskar and good evening. Thank you, Professor Tripathi, and thank you, Dr. who are today present in this hall. Esteemed academicians, scholars, intellectuals, and my very dear friends. It is indeed a great honor for me to be bestowed upon with excellent opportunity this evening to interact and share my understanding on the Jain sculptures of Devgarh Temple Complex. I am grateful to the BL Institute of Indology for giving me the chance to deliver the 4th lecture in the Jain Art series, which is their annual feature. I recall very fondly, last year I also got the chance and benefit of chairing the 3rd lecture at IIC NX. My association for more than a decade with the BL Institute of Indology has given me great insights into the astounding realm of Jain arts. In fact, being with them, it became my learning session, and my interest was generated to know more about Jain art. I become very, very nostalgic when I think of Devgarh. It has fascinated me from my childhood. I started my education from Lalitpur. My alma mater is in Lalitpur, which is some 33 kilometers from Devgarh. I had made my First visit, you can see number of sculptures and antiquities, an overwhelming experience. I had the opportunity of visiting the place more often afterwards, both to the Jain sites as well as the nearby dilapidated Panchayatan temple sites, particularly the Dashavatar temple. Vibrant political, cultural and religious activities for a very long time. Thank you so much. The complex, surrounded by dense forest, is situated close to river Betwa and is 33 kilometers from Lalitpur district headquarters in Uttar Pradesh. The 300-meter hillock offers a pristine locale where the serene nature induces an effortless samadhi. This is the gateway from the Dharamshala, which is down below, and what we are seeing here is this hillock. You have to climb 3 kilometers and it is motorable. We reach up to the gate of the temple complex. And the whole jungle area, the whole forest area is full of, it's very interesting in the month of March and April, full of tesu trees, and it's all red, what you can see. Though it's very hot, it's not so pleasant, but it looks very nice. The Jain art flourished in Devgarh from the 8th century AD onwards. The region had already witnessed cultural splendor of Gupta period, as Professor Tripathi also just mentioned, as is evidenced from the remains of several 6th century Panchayatan temples in the vicinity. It has served both as a military and as a trade corridor between the northern kingdoms and Deccan principalities. This unique geo-strategic and geo-economic location was a great advantage to the cultural intermingling of the zone. Udaygiri, Sanchi, Bagh, Ujjain, Jhansi, this is Devgarh, and this Jaklaun, Dudhai, Chandpur, Khajuraho, I'll be mentioning all that. Bagh, Ujjain, Jhansi, Chanderi, Khajuraho, Prayag, Chanderi is here. Prayag, Varanasi, Gwalior, Dudhai, Chandpur, Malwa and many more rich regions provided the enabling environment for the great art to flourish and sustain for almost 900 years. The early epigraphical evidences of the history of Devgarh are available from the Nahar Ghati inscription. There are 3 ghatis, Siddhki Gufa, Nahar Ghati and Raj Ghati. So these are rock-cut shelters and there are caves, and there are some sculptures, Hinduist sculptures, Vaishnav sculptures, and also some inscriptions, which mentions about the Gupta period and also about the rule of Gurjar Pratihar during the 9th century. The inscription of 862 AD from the Shantinathji temple mentions about Vishnudev, a Samant of Bhojdev, who administered the area. The 1097 AD inscription of Vatsaraj mentions about the Chanderi, a Chanderi dominance over the region during the 11th century. Thereafter, the Mughals, Marathas and the British governed this particular region. These are the phases, different phases in which the art developed. It is, as we all know, that always wherever the monuments or the temples or any other monument is there are layers of history. It's not one-time creation. Restoration takes place, new creation takes place. So these are different phases in which the temple must have been added, demolished, and some restoration would have been done. The exquisite and intricate carvings of the immaculate sculptures adorning around 31 Jain temples have all iconographic features of Jain sculptural art. This temple complex is protected by Archaeological Survey of India and maintained by Devgarh Managing Digambar Jain Committee. Apart from each of the 24 past, present and future Tirthankars, with discernibly distinct iconographic features, the lanchans as we call them, the complex also has a rich display of votive tablets, votive pillars, manstambh, and images of Jain mythology. The Pravachan Sarodhar gives the earliest details of the lanchans of the which were formalized by the 9th century. Spanning a period from 8th century to 17th century AD, the complex is a paradise for researchers, scholars, tourists, and solace seekers alike. Housing over 2,000 sculptures in one place, the complex definitely deserves the status of UNESCO's World Heritage Site. My many recent visits to this site in last 2 months to update my data, my collection of photographs, and to understand the unfathomable art in enormous collections, largely unexplored, gave me an awe-inspiring perspective of the artistic talent of this period and of the people. The artists have packed a great deal in single parcel, single panel, figure, or pillars with finesse, displaying their deep understanding of the Jain history and mythology and philosophy. The figures of main Tirthankars are very simple, serene, yet complete in themselves. Their imposing postures, be it a sitting meditative posture of Dhyan Mudra or standing Kayotsarg position, have been surrounded with hundreds of exquisitely carved gods, goddesses, Devkul figures, Yakshis, attendant Chamardharis, Ashtapratihars, and Lanchans in the parikar or in the same plate. The remnants of the wall indicate the existence of a fort on this hillock, in the eastern part of which is the scattered temple complex. This complex must have comprised of several large, medium, and small shrines. Temple number 12 and 15 are the oldest and large in size. Some of the temples are quite plain in design from outside, and yet some have highly decorative exteriors. Typical Gupta influence is visible. The place explicitly gives the impression that lot of building and construction activity was going on here, along with veneration, prayers, and teaching. Some temples are like cellars and halls, perhaps used as living spaces for the serious practitioners, seekers, sadhu, sadhvi, and shravikas. The enormity of area in time and space, as well as the high sculptural quality, has led the scholars to conclude that the evolution of the Jain artistic tradition in this region was an ongoing process. We can see that the number of sculptures of each figure are how many. Spanning a period of more than 900 years, the construction would have been supervised by acharyas, upadhyas, bhattaraks, sadhu, shravak, shravikas on a continual basis, imparting complex the stature of a well-equipped training center in art and architecture, unlike other places where Shasakiya support or the support from the royal was given. The varied formats and some incomplete works suggest that the complex also drew artists from different areas. The abundance of quality, red sandstone, which is all over there, and granite certainly would have been an added advantage to the artisans. As we now sail through some of the photographs of the site, it may perhaps give me the opportunity to share my humble understanding with the learned audience here this evening. This is the site plan of the temple complex. We enter from here. After entering the gate, we have a pathway which is all along the pathway. There are some sculptures which have been put, and there's a site museum as well over there. And once you enter, then you come into this complex, which has, these are the small shrines, and this is the Shantinath temple, and we will go further in detail about this, and this is another temple, and this is a double-story temple. So this is temple number 12, this is the temple number 15, which are the only 862 AD temple. Rest are all in the 10th and 11th century, which were made. And very interestingly, mean. This peripheral wall, what we are seeing here, has these 2,000 sculptures which have been appliqued on this. Some were already there, some broken sculptures have been put in the outside wall, and some tirthankars with some lanchans, some without lanchans have been put inside. This is the map of Shantinathji temple, and this is the shikhar. It is typical in Nagar style, which was prevalent in North India, from Kashmir to up to the Malwa, and cultural influence is there. You can see shikhar is very simple. Amalaka is there, and then this is a Pradakshina Path, and this is the outer wall, and this is the entrance, and we have a mandap, and then there is a Ardha Mandap as well there. This picture, the photo credit goes to the German scholar who visited India in 1956-57, Klaus Brun, whose enormous work has been done on this. And I have taken this from his works. This is how it used to look before restoration. I went little later, I didn't go at that time, much later, but there was no change till that time. In 60s also, when I went first time, the complex was like this. But some of the sculptures were put up there, and some of the sculptures were just lying here and there, which time to time had attracted a lot of trafficking as well. We can see the Manastam, which is there. I'll come and discuss subsequently. This is a recent photo taken just some 12-15 days back, and from the temple number 15, the double-story temple, and the weather was fortunately very good that time. Projected temperature was 43, but it was cloudy, and weather god was very kind, and we could move around very freely, otherwise the stone really becomes very hot. We can see the shikhar, Saptarak pattern. This is the mandap, and then we go subsequently to the closer ones. And this is the Ardha Mandap, put up, was added on separately by Chandel rulers, which is highly decorative. Then we enter, this is the mandap. This is the temple, which is still live for prayers. Every day people come here, and I was told by the Dharamshala people that load buses full of yatris and Shravikas come here on some auspicious days and come for the veneration and pay regards here. This is that Toran or the Ardha Mandap. We can see these pillars with the Pichak or the Kirit Mukh, which is there. You can see there are some music players on top. Can you come down, please? Then these pillars have some designs. There is a Nartaki, dancer. Then there is a Kubir sitting there, Sarvanubhuti, which is a very popular yaksh here. Then we have this, like a snake entwined together, or the creepers together. And then we have one jinn sculpture along with two women on the side. It represents the Sansari world in which we live. And then we have this Kuber world, or the material world, when we collect things. Then we have this natural world in which we move around, we engage ourselves. And then comes the state when we are in the Adhyatma, or we are in the spiritual world. This is how all the Tirthankars enter into their yatra of pilgrimage, or yatra of renunciation, tyag and sadhana. And they all were Kshatriya, they were all into the royal family, they were all married, and they all entered subsequently into the tyag. Then this is that entrance from here. What we are seeing here, this is the Shantinathji temple. You can see the shikhar from here, and this is the mandap. We enter from this gate. This is the statue, which is 17 feet 3 inches, almost 18 feet, along with the mukut. Then there are two Ambikas. There are four Ambikas. Ambikas are the Yakshi. Indra Devata had assigned Shasan Devata with each Tirthankar. So there are 24 Yakshis, which are also placed along with each Tirthankar. So Ambika in Devgarh has been very, very popular, and with the breaking the norms to be with only one Tirthankar, she has been with Rishabh Devji, but she has been given position with most of the other Tirthankars as well. Ambika, how do we recognize, is always under the mango tree. She is holding one branch of mango in her hands, Amralumbi. She has one child in her lap and one child is holding the hand from down below. Her Vahana, the mount, is Singh, as Singh is also with Mahavirji. So some lanchans are common, very beautifully decorated. Then she is wearing something in the foot. She has this lower dress, uttariye. Then you can see the scarf coming from here. And the other picture, it is much more clear. Very serene face. She has big earlobes. She is wearing a disc type of earring, which the child very naughtily trying to hold it. And then there is a pillar which has different figures. These are the women who are standing there talking and some discussion going on. Then there is another pillar. Then on the left and the right side, the two pictures are broken. I'll show in another temple. Ganga and Jamuna are given there. Next, please. This is the main sculpture of Shantinath Ji. Then we can see the Chamardharis or the attendants in a Tribhang stance, very beautiful stance which has been given. There are another two Ambikas. One is here, one is there. And Ambika must have had some important position because she is standing on a pedestal, lotus pedestal she is standing. And her scarf we can see which is coming from here, from the hands. Very simple, slender figure without any decoration, but itself gives such serene and some composed feeling of meditation. When the sculptures were made, the eyeballs were not made. So this is a Kayotsar, or the standing position, which is the toughest meditation posture. Some part of Ashtapratihar are the celestial attributes given to any Tirthankar after achieving the Arhat state or the final state or the Kaivalya. This is one of the oldest temple and it is very important in the complex as is still being used by the people. Design, dimension and figures are spectacular. 12 days old picture which I have just shown you, and Sandhar Prasad, the hall is in a Sandhar Prasad which has a very nice Mahamandap. When we went, there were some sadhus, some dhotis were standing, put up on a rassi. So that shows that morning they were there. And the Pradikshana Path doesn't have any figure. It's a very simple place. But the outer wall has the periphery. It has some, ventilated places. Some traceries have been made so that the temple doesn't become very suffocating inside. Doors are very candidly made, very beautifully carved. The stone has been very nicely chiseled, and it shows the Chandel influence. Then definitely layers of history are seen in this temple. It is not one-time temple. It has 862 AD inscription, but later on added with other mandap, Ardmandap and some other portions. The region of Devgarh, Chandpur, Chanderi and Khajuraho specifically have some special importance for Lord Shantinath Ji because we find many temples here. And in fact in Chandpur there is one Shantinath Ji temple which has a 10 feet tall Shantinath Ji sculpture. Though Lanchan is not given in this particular one, but through the inscription we get to know that this is Shantinath Ji. Next please. These are the close-ups of these two figures, Ambika. You can see the lotus pedestal. and pedestal is always given when the person is in regard. So lotus pedestal we can see. You can see the child looking at Ambika. Ambika represents the mother, and most of the Tirthankars sculptures here have Ambika. Then 1 stands, 2 stands, and 3. This is Tribhag we call it. Whereas Shantinath Ji is in Sabang, straight posture. There is no curve, there is nothing. These are the elephants who are doing Mastaka Abhishek. Elephants are always there pouring water for the respectable figures or the royal figures. Then these are the Ashoka, one of the Ashtapratihar Chinna Ashoka tree, which has been represented like this. Then there are some figures here. Dundubi is being played, which is also part of the Ashtapratihar. Dundubi has to be there, drum has to be there, then Mala has to, Pushpa, Varsha has to be there. So some parts have been given in this particular one, not fully developed Ashtapratihar. Then three chhatra, 3 parasol. So these are some symbols given by God to the Tirthankars. 3 chhatra has to be there, the 3 layered parasol. Then since this is a standing position, doesn't have a throne, otherwise throne is also heavy. Next please. These are the themes on the pillar, very interesting themes. Here you can see one sadhu giving gyan to a human figure with a monkey or a lion face. It's not very clear, but a sadhu giving gyan and standing, and he also very intently listening to it. There are 2 chamadharis who are on the side. These are the pillars which are there. There are some figurines, some women playing music. Then this is another, this is a part of this. Here is this, and this is here. Then one sadhu has come, and being Pad Prakshalan is being done after a long journey. So well received, being well received, and feet are being washed and cleaned. You can see the intricate design, which is very beautifully done, all red sandstone. Then this is the outer periphery, and as I said, 24 surrounding yakshis have been there. This is Chakreshwari, and this is Kuntunath Ji's Shriya Devi, and then this is Ambika. Look at the stance in which Ambika is standing. Just 1 foot there and 1 foot, very relaxed manner. All these yakshis have been given their names down below, and this is a child who is in the lap. Beautiful hairstyle, as very typical of the Gupta art, very nicely made hair. We can see these temple bells in between to break the monotony of the architecture. The perforated walls have been made so that this inside is the Pradikshana place, so it can go there. These are the temple bells, and it's all over the place. Then this is Shantinath Ji's Shikhar, and this part, what you are seeing here, is Dhyanast Mudra of one Tirthankar who is sitting here with 2 lady attendants who are on the side, and very beautifully carved, nice beading has been given to join the 2 stones. This part is here. This is Amalaka, this is the Shikhar. This is a small shrine which I'll show you later. Shantinath Ji was their father was the king of Hastinapur, and mother saw a dream like all the Tirthankars' mother. They saw 14 and 16 dreams, as they say, the Mangalik Swapna. And when he was born, before that, the whole area was under epidemic. Mahamari फैली हुई थी. महामारी जैसे शांतिनाथ जी का जन्म हुआ तो महामारी थम गई. तो थम जाने की वजह से उनका नाम शांतिनाथ रखा गया, और लांछन इनका हिरन है. टिपिकली एज जैसे बुद्धा के फिगर के साथ में 2 हिरन दिखाए जाते हैं या 1 हिरन दिखाया जाता है, तो शांतिनाथ जी के साथ में भी हिरन दिखाया जाता है। 16 तीर्थंकर इन प्रेजेंट सर्कल दिखाते हैं। ये 15 टेम्पल नंबर 15 which is a double story temple, and इसके inside the chambers are very simple. They are sitting figures of Neminaji, Mahavir ji and Bahubali and Rishabhnath ji, and but ground floor and the first level, both the doors are very richly carved. I'm not showing here because I'm showing the same doors in another temple. So most of the time the design is the same, the Navagraha, Ganga, Jamuna, and some Yaksh and Yakshis who have been seen sitting over there. And from here I had taken a picture of Shantinath ji, and this chamber has 3 different rooms, 3 different small chambers. It also gives the impression that this was not a temple as such, but must have been a place of stay. So Bhattaraks and the sadhu or Shravikas, when they were visiting this place, they must be coming and also staying here. Now this outer wall which I had shown you in the side plan, the outer wall starts from here, and we can see Kayotsar sculpture. This whole wall goes like this around. These are 2 Tirthankars which have their lanchans very clearly, Sambhavnath ji and Abhinandan ji. Sambhavnath ji, this I will show you. This goes like this and goes like this. 2 things which can be seen here, which interest me a lot, are different thrones and different pedestals which have been put under the sculptures, and different designs each time we can see of the, we can call it a cushion, we can call it a carpet. Sometimes you also see double carpets, double cushions which have been given. The Singhasan or the throne will always be the lion Singhasan. Sometimes the Yakshis have been put aside, they are the Chamardharis, they are the must. Then this is called Parikar, the whole one plate, and has 2 standing Jain statues, sculptures also. And this is the Rishabh Dev ji. You can see the bull. I'll come to the story later, and also the Shrivat's sign. Again, the lion faces have been made always very differently. This is a Gomukh Yaksh with the face of a cow, and always seen near the Yaksh of Adinath ji, Rishabh Dev ji. And some broken restoration which must have been done here and there. So some Asht Pratihar, again you can see the Phool Mala which is very visible, then 1, 2, 3 parasol, 3 chhatra which has been shown, then Devta sitting here and then throwing the flowers. Can we have next please? Then this is covered corridor with the sculptures. You can imagine 2000 sculptures artists had to adjust here and there, and these are the 2 Tirthankars which are here, which have been given their lanchans here. Then you can see the throne. This is a double cushion with a Phool Mala over there, which has been made like this. This doesn't have the lanchan, but the 3 chhats have been made, taken from somewhere and put up. One has the horse and one has the elephant. This is the elephant, this is the horse. This looks very beautiful, in fact, the whole corridor. This is called Sahastrakot Chaityalaya or Lakhputli temple. Means 1008 Jain figures are here in 16 lines. These are, top to bottom, there are 16 lines, and each side there are 252 images which have been shown, and in between, to give a break there is a sitting image and there are standing images. Then here is Parshvanathji with the 7-hood snake, and Suparshvanathji with the 5-hooded snake. The stories of the snake I will tell you later when I'm talking about them. But the very interesting thing, the chhatra which has been made here, the artist, the Shilpi must have used his own initiative to make this kind of chhatra, which also signifies the Kukut Sarp, which was a cousin of Parshvanathji in the previous Janam, and who was always jealous of his virtues and always used to trouble him when he was in tapasya. That time, one snake couple, that Kukut, who was their Kamat, he was troubling, and Parshvanathji saved that snake couple and took them out and set them free. In the next Janam, this Kamat, the cousin, became a Sarp out of the curse and then started troubling. And in the present Janam, as a Meghmali, when Parshvanathji was busy in tapasya, started throwing water, and Megh, you can understand, the deluge had come and lot of rains came. That time, this snake, Dharnendra, and his wife Padmavati, they came for the rescue, and they made the hood to cover them. And there are some other images I'll show you how they made a cradle for Parshvanathji to lift them so that the tapasya, the sadhana is not broken. But to show Kukut under the control of Dharnendra Nagaraj and his wife Padmavati, here artist had shown that the snake has been used as a chhatra. That means that he is under the dominion, or he is under subjugation. He is not free to trouble anymore, and he has been used as a chhatra here. So there's some of the initiatives with the artists here in the atelier, in the workshop, must have used by themselves. This temple is of 1120 AD. It is very, very small in size, like a pyramid, and Sahastra Bimb also we call them. Means 1,000 figures are there, and all 4 sides of the temple are highly decorated. 2 sides have the designs, and 2 sides are the door jambs. Doors are not open, but doors have the floral pattern. Next slide, please. Sarvato Bhadra style is also called because all 4 sides the Tirthankar can visit, can see all the 4 sides. That's the position of giving blessings to all the sides. So it's called Sarvato Bhadra. This side and that side and that side, all the 4 sides, the pattern has been made. Then this is the door, entrance door, and these are the Navagraha. This is a Dhyan Mudra, sitting posture of a Tirthankar, and this is standing straight, Sabang standing is Surya. Then all the others 6 Graha are in a Tribhang state. Sometimes they are holding Padam, lotus in the hand, sometimes they are holding the water pot, and sometimes they are in the Abhay Mudra. You can see the slant. 1, 2, 3. It's a typical dancing pose, and which has been made. This is Ketu and this is Rahu. Ketu is half. Rahu and Ketu, they are shadow graha, they are always together. And Ketu is in a folded hands, sideways, and Rahu is half Portukai. He's been shown in a Tarpan Mudra. This is Saraswati on the right. This is Ketu and Rahu. And then on the down below, we have Ganga and Jamuna. Ganga again in the Tribhang position. This is Jamuna. Ganga is holding water pot and also a lotus in the hand. And Jamuna is near the Kurma. I'll show you the close-up. These are the water pots, and this is a Kalpa Vriksh, which is being watered by the woman over there. So you can see the pot and the Kalpavriksha which is there, which is also been added with a pedestal. Around this, there are very beautiful two elephants and lion figures, which are in a, not in a fighting mode, but in a, I feel it they are more in a conversational state. But any interpretation can be taken out. I'll show you the close-up. Next, please. This is Kuru, Yamuna's vehicle. Yamuna is always shown with the tortoise. So here is tortoise, and this face, this is tortoise, and you can see Sahasrakoot from within. And this is a, Kshetrapal who is sitting there. Can we have the next one, please? This is Ganga with the alligator over there. Very small, not like Gupta alligator which is in National Museum, but very small, you can make out from here. And this is the Kurm here with the Jamuna. Very, very artistically made, very pleasant looking face. This Yakshi, who is the next attendant who is standing, looks as if she is smiling. She is very happy to be around in the celestial deities complex. You can see the facial expressions. Very nice hairdo, and again the disc type of earrings which are being worn, well ornamented. The uttariya is also well ornamented, and beads mala is in the neck. Next, please. This is a Manistambh. It's a votive pillar, and there are total 19 Manistambh in the complex. It is said when you come to the temple complex, Man is the ego. You have to leave your ego outside. So Manistambhs are made so that when people are entering the temple, they leave the Man outside and don't carry it with them. So this is a votive pillar where people pray that my Man, my ego should not be there. From four sides, Sarvatobhadra, again there are four deities, four yakshis have been shown. So this is Rohini, who is sitting. The mount is a cow here, and then this is Chakreshwari. Chakreshwari has been very beautifully, sometimes 4 hands, sometimes 6 hands, sometimes 10 hands, and one Chakreshwari which I will show you, which is 20 hands, which is in the Sahu Jain Dharamshala Museum, and little broken hands, but very beautifully carved. Chakreshwari is always, the mount is Garud in a human form, and each time very different human forms have been made. It's not the same we will find, but very differently made. This is again Ambika, who is sitting here, and then she is assisted by the Kshetrapal. Kshetrapal is one of the yaksh who looks after. Kshetrapal stands on the dog. So dog is most of the times in most of the figures which is surrounded. Then this is Padmavati. Padmavati, as I just mentioned, the Yakshi of Parshvanathji, and we can see the Sarp, the subjugation of the Sarp, which is her mount, and she's sitting, and then because she is controlled Kukut Sarp, so it has been displayed. You can see that with different ayudh, which are with different armors which are in the hands, and she's also holding a fruit in the hand. And there is a figure which is in a venerating posture. Next, please. Then these are other Manistambhs which are in the complex, very beautifully carved, very differently carved. This is the temple bell which is here. And this Manistambh has been brought from the hillock from the temple complex to the Dharamshala. So you can see the Dharamshala complex behind. And one interesting thing, because this land was of Saraswat, Saraswati was venerated, I will be discussing separately. And a lot of teaching was taking place, Upadhyay and Acharya were there. So some of the Manistambhs also have Acharya figures on the top. In the Sarvatobhadra, three sides are the Jain figures, and one side will be the Acharya.